12. Black actors who are gay, then and now, 2026. What if everything you thought you knew about Black Hollywood was only half the truth? Behind the fame, fortune, and flashing cameras lies a deeper story, one of bold identity, silent struggles, and fearless love. These are not just actors. They are trailblazers who dared to live authentically in an industry built on illusions. From secret heartbreaks to history-making confessions, their journeys will shock, inspire, and challenge everything you believe about success and sexuality. Before we dive into the lives of these powerful game changers, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence, where real stories always take center stage. Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith has never fit neatly into anyone's expectations, and that's precisely what has made her so impactful. Born in 1971 in Baltimore, Maryland, Jada carved out a name for herself through fiercely independent roles in films like Set It Off, The Matrix, Reloaded, and Collateral. However, it's her unapologetic openness about personal growth, sexuality, and emotional evolution that has positioned her as a powerful figure in Hollywood's ongoing dialogue about identity. Though she does not identify as gay or bisexual, Jada has publicly acknowledged her past romantic experiences with women. During a 2019 episode of Red Table Talk, her groundbreaking Facebook Watch series, she candidly discussed same-sex attraction and described sexuality as fluid, rejecting the rigid boxes often imposed by society. Her willingness to explore these themes without issuing definitive labels challenged audiences to view sexuality not as fixed, but as deeply personal and ever-changing. Jada's public life has often been scrutinized, particularly her marriage to Will Smith, which has sparked rumors about its openness and unconventional structure. Rather than respond with denial or secrecy, she chose transparency. Through Red Table Talk, Jada created a space for raw conversations about vulnerability, trust, intimacy, and the unpredictable dynamics of long-term relationships. Her ability to dissect emotional truths without shame has made her a respected voice on topics many fear to confront. What distinguishes Jada is not just her talent, but her radical honesty. In a culture obsessed with image, she dares to show her internal struggles and evolving viewpoints. Her journey reflects a broader truth that identity is not always about declarations, but about introspection, acceptance, and the freedom to grow. As of 2026, Jada stands as an emblem of self-exploration, bold, nuanced, and ever-evolving. Raven-Simonet, the effervescent presence who lit up The Cosby Show at just 5 years old, evolved into a defining voice for authenticity. Transitioning from child superstar to Disney icon in That's So Raven, she thrived under the spotlight yet maintained deep personal boundaries around her identity. Throughout the 2000s, she knew who she was but chose discretion over headlines until 2013, when she issued a simple tweet celebrating marriage equality. "I can finally get married. Yay, government, so proud of you." That brief acknowledgement marked her emergence from silence, resonating far beyond Hollywood's bright lights. Unlike sensational declarations, Raven's disclosure was deliberate and understated. It conveyed confidence without fanfare, signaling a shift she was ready to live publicly, but in her own measured pace. In interviews, she voiced the weight of simultaneously juggling race fame and queerness issues that layered complexity onto each step she took. Her journey highlighted how coming out isn't a single moment, but an unfolding process shaped by timing and inner readiness. 2020 brought another milestone when Raven celebrated a private marriage ceremony with partner Miranda Pierman-Madej. She spoke of love grounded in respect and companionship, not spectacle. In recent years, the actress-turned-producer has extended her platform to uplift LGBTQ+ youth, prioritizing behind-the-scenes empowerment. She's become an advocate for inclusive storytelling, determined that upcoming generations see themselves reflected in media. Raven-Simonet's legacy is more than nostalgia or celebrity pedigree. It's a testament to empowerment through silence and timing. By transitioning on her own terms, she taught fans that authentic identity doesn't require public announcement, only personal clarity. In 2026, she remains a beacon for restraint, dignity, and unwavering truth, reminding us that peace with oneself is the most profound kind of visibility. Christopher Edwin Breaux. Christopher Edwin Breaux, known globally as Frank Ocean, didn't just break musical boundaries, he broke cultural silence. Born in 1987, Frank emerged from the shadows of songwriting into the spotlight with his debut mixtape, Nostalgia Ultra. But it was his 2012 letter posted on Tumblr that shook the world. In it, he revealed that his first love was a man shattering long-held norms in R&B and hip-hop genres, often defined by heteronormative bravado. He didn't label himself, didn't host a press conference, he simply wrote his truth. His album Channel Orange, released shortly after, was embraced critically and commercially, with lyrics exploring unrequited love and desire that didn't conform to traditional gender roles. Rather than defining his sexuality, Frank let the music speak emotional, introspective, and unapologetically raw. His 2016 follow-up, Blonde, deepened this vulnerability, floating between genderless affection and spiritual longing, redefining what masculinity could sound like. Frank Ocean's resistance to categorization has become a signature. He rarely grants interviews, avoids the red carpet, and releases music sporadically, making each project feel like a quiet revolution. In doing so, he's become a symbol not of a gay black man shouting into the void, but of one who whispers and still shifts the culture. His visibility has inspired countless young queer artists to embrace complexity without needing validation or mainstream approval. In 2026, Frank Ocean stands as a living contradiction, elusive yet influential, intimate yet legendary. He didn't demand space. He created it through melody, truth, and vulnerability. His legacy is not just in the songs he crafted, but in the doors he quietly unlocked for others to step through unafraid and unashamed. Beyonce Knowles Carter. Beyonce Knowles Carter may not identify as gay, but her presence in the LGBTQ+ movement is undeniable and deeply felt. Born in Houston, Texas in 1981, Beyoncé rose to global fame as the lead singer of Destiny's Child and evolved into one of the most influential entertainers of the 21st century. Her artistry, voice, and business acumen made her an icon, but it is her unwavering allyship with the queer community that solidified her place as more than just a pop superstar. In 2012, when Frank Ocean came out publicly, Beyoncé responded with a heartfelt tribute, encouraging him to be fearless, honest, and free. But her support didn't stop at words. Through her music, Beyoncé has consistently celebrated sexual empowerment and fluidity. Visual albums like Lemonade featured the work of queer black creatives behind the scenes, showcasing her commitment to inclusion not only in front of the camera, but at every level of production. Beyoncé's influence extends into fashion and performance, where LGBTQ+ dancers, stylists, and collaborators are frequently centered in her tours and videos. Her Savage X Fenty campaigns, philanthropic work, and public speeches, including her acceptance of the GLAAD Vanguard Award alongside husband Jay-Z, further highlighted her intention to stand beside the queer community not merely as a performer, but as a genuine ally. Beyond public gestures, Beyoncé has spoken with emotion about her late Uncle Johnny, a gay man who helped raise her and introduced her to fashion and creativity. Through this personal lens, she approaches advocacy not as a trend, but as a lived truth rooted in family respect and love. In 2026, Beyoncé continues to embody the role of a cultural bridge, someone who uses her platform not only to entertain, but to elevate. Her message is clear: justice includes everyone, and no movement is complete without the voices of the LGBTQ+ community. Sean Carter. Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z, did more than revolutionize hip-hop. He leveraged his immense influence to advocate for marginalized voices that the industry had historically overlooked. Growing up in Brooklyn amid poverty and systemic challenges, he ascended to billionaire status through his label business ventures and lyrical prowess. But what sets Jay-Z apart is his unwavering commitment to social change, particularly within the LGBTQ+ community. In 2012, following Frank Ocean's courageous coming-out moment, Jay-Z responded with profound support. In an interview with CNN, he equated discrimination against queer people to racial injustice, calling it plain and simple words that reverberated through hip-hop culture and challenged long-standing homophobia in the genre. This wasn't performative allyship. It was a reckoning reflective of his belief in equal dignity for all. Jay-Z's advocacy extended beyond sound bites. Through his career-spanning documentary album 444, he uplifted conversations about authenticity and vulnerability, an invitation for men to embrace emotional openness. He and Beyoncé were jointly honored with the Gilad Vanguard Award in 2019 for their commitment to LGBTQ+ causes, making them the first couple to receive this prestigious recognition. Jay-Z's activism also carries a deeply personal dimension. His mother, Gloria Carter, came out as a lesbian later in life. His song Smile humanizes her journey, transforming it into a powerful narrative about acceptance, resilience, and familial love. By sharing her story, he emphasized how personal experience often fuels public action. In 2026, Jay-Z remains a transformative force melding artistic achievement with meaningful advocacy. His commitment isn't an afterthought, it's woven through his legacy. By using his platform to dismantle prejudice and elevate marginalized voices, he proves that true acclaim lies not just in wealth or fame, but in the impact you leave on the world. RuPaul Andre Charles. RuPaul Andre Charles didn't just break into the entertainment world, he rewrote its rulebook with brilliance, charisma, and unapologetic flair. Born in 1960 in San Diego and raised in Los Angeles, RuPaul emerged in the early 1990s with the smash hit Supermodel You Better Work, showcasing drag as a beautiful form of self-expression rather than mere performance art. His bold aesthetic featuring towering wigs, glittering gowns, and lip-sync battles offered a daring alternative to mainstream norms around gender beauty and fame. However, RuPaul's greatest influence came not from music, but from television. The debut of RuPaul's Drag Race in 2009 introduced drag ballroom to global audiences, celebrating diversity, competition, and transformation. It didn't just crown drag queens, it crafted icons allowing Black LGBTQ+ artists to shine in ways Hollywood traditionally neglected. Through this reality competition, RuPaul fostered acceptance and reshaped perceptions of queer identity, lifting drag from underground subculture to international community. In the decades since, he has claimed multiple Emmy Awards and earned placement in Time's list of the 100 most influential people, a testament to his enduring resonance. As the competition expanded worldwide, RuPaul became a mentor, philosopher, and gateway to inclusion. Even as conversations around gender evolved, he continued to refine the discourse, prompting debates with his nuanced views on who can participate, all while remaining the ever-glamorous centerpiece of the conversation. But RuPaul's influence isn't just entertainment, it's cultural transformation. He reimagines aging queerness and Black excellence in tandem, proving that defiance, humor, and resilience are powerful catalysts for change. At 65 in 2025, he continues to host Produce Right and perform, reinforcing one message above all. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? In 2026, RuPaul remains not only a drag royalty, but a global architect of identity and visibility, ruling with compassion, creativity, and crown-worthy confidence. Kerry Washington. Kerry Washington has cultivated a film and television career rooted in substance integrity and compassion. Born in the Bronx in 1977 and raised in suburban New York, she became a beacon of nuanced storytelling through her breakout role as Olivia Pope in Scandal, a character defined by wit, strength, and moral complexity. Yet Washington's influence extends far beyond her on-screen achievements. Exploring the limelight, she has skillfully used her position to champion those whose voices often go unheard. While she does not identify as gay, her dedication to elevating LGBTQ+ stories has been unwavering. She was honored with the GLAAD Vanguard Award in 2015, recognition for her work advancing thoughtful portrayal of queer characters and themes. Through strategic partnerships with organizations like GLAAD Washington, has lent her visibility to campaigns confronting prejudice and fostering acceptance, particularly for LGBTQ+ people of color. In her creative ventures with Simpson Street, her production company, Carrie, has consistently championed authentic narratives featuring Black and queer identities. Whether developing screenplays or nurturing new talent, she seeks to dismantle stereotypes and amplify perspectives that are too often ignored. On camera, she has taken care to inhabit characters whose complexity transcends typical tropes. Behind the scenes, she aligns financial and institutional support toward stories that echo underrepresented truths. Despite ongoing speculation about her own orientation, Washington maintains privacy while emphasizing that love supersedes labels. Her oft-repeated sentiment, "I don't live my life by labels. I live my life by love," serves as a guiding principle for her public engagement. In interviews and speeches, she addresses the intersections of race, gender, and sexuality with clarity, courage, and authenticity. As of 2026, Kerry Washington continues to function as both a captivating artist and a committed social architect. She reminds audiences that artistry and activism can coexist, that empathy and visibility are indispensable, and that sometimes the most powerful legacy is built not on fame, but on the trust and dignity you bring to every role. Tyler Gregory Okonma, born in 1991 in Ladera Heights, California. Tyler Gregory Okonma, known to fans as Tyler the Creator, has orchestrated a radical transformation in how masculine identity is conveyed in rap music. He began his artistic journey in the raw, anarchic collective OFWGKTA Odd Future, drawing attention with complex beats, harsh humor, and provocative lyrics that flouted conventions. But beneath the irreverent exterior was something deeper, an artist unafraid to confront queerness head-on. In 2017, his album Flower Boy delivered an artistic turning point. With lyrics like "I've been kissing white boys since 2004, he shattered the taboo of intimacy in a genre long resistant to non-heteronormative themes. Fans and critics were polarized. Some suspected satire, others detected sincerity, but the honesty of his work resonated. He didn't offer a neat label. Instead, he invited listeners into a world where emotional complexity and fluid attraction could coexist with bravado. Tyler continued pushing boundaries with Igor 2019, an album dripping in camp vulnerability and eclectic sounds. Its theatrical production and pastel-rich visuals further blurred gendered expectations. His aesthetic evolution from baggy silhouettes to flamboyant ensembles mirrored his artistic growth, signaling that performance and presentation are integral to self-expression. He invited audiences to question who defines what masculinity can be. Despite persistent questions about his orientation, Tyler resists categorization with humor and deflection. He consistently maintains that his art, not personal declarations, is his statement. But make no mistake, the queer subtext throughout his work has opened doors for non-traditional masculinity in hip-hop, offering representation to younger artists who find authenticity in vulnerability. By 2026, Tyler the Creator stands not merely as a musician, but as a cultural provocateur. He redefines success not by awards alone, though he has several Grammys, but by the minds he's challenged, the stereotypes he's fractured, and the freedom he's inspired in a genre still reckoning with its own boundaries. Troye Sivan. Troye Sivan may not be Black, but he's a vital inclusion in the broader constellation of LGBTQ+ artistry, reverberating across intersectional lines with honesty and grace. Born in 1995 in Johannesburg and raised in Australia, Troye emerged from YouTube stardom to mainstream acclaim through his debut album, Blue Neighborhood 2015. What set him apart was his unapologetic embrace of queer identity at a young age, something rare in pop music then. His breakout single Youth became an anthem for LGBTQ+ visibility. Its music video centered same-sex affection as naturally and beautifully as heteronormative love. In 2019, Troy starred in and co-produced the coming-of-age film Boy Erased, delving into conversion therapy's emotional aftermath. His performance was widely praised for its depth and sensitivity. 200,000-plus concert-goers worldwide. Troy's stage presence is defined by vulnerability, sharing personal anecdotes, fears, and celebrations with fans. Off-stage, his relationship with actor Jacob Bixenman embodies the authenticity he preaches. They are often seen attending Pride events and speaking openly about mental health, queer joy, and representation. Through social media and interviews, Troy consistently pushes for broader acceptance. He emphasizes that queer visibility isn't a trend, it's a necessity, especially for younger LGBTQ+ people of color who rarely see themselves reflected in mainstream narratives. At just 30 in 2025, Troye Sivan remains a compelling testament. You can be young, queer, emotive, and still command pop culture with both star power and sincerity. Laverne Cox. Laverne Cox stands as a formidable figure in entertainment and advocacy, an openly transgender black woman whose career has reshaped perceptions and expectations in Hollywood. Born in 1972 in Mobile, Alabama, she initially pursued dance and theater, but her breakthrough arrived in 2013 with her role as Sophia Bursay on Orange is the New Black. Portraying a trans inmate navigating the complexities of identity trauma and redemption, Cox became the first openly transgender actor nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award. This milestone amplified representation while proving that trans talent belongs center stage. Following her Emmy nomination, Laverne expanded her influence far beyond scripted drama. She appeared on Dancing with the Stars, delivered TED Talks about trans rights, served as an executive producer on documentaries like Disclosure, and used her growing platform to challenge injustice. Her advocacy extends to speaking out against anti-trans legislation, promoting HIV awareness, and uplifting trans youth, particularly Black trans children facing elevated discrimination and violence. In doing so, she has moved ideas about justice and visibility from abstract ideals to tangible calls for change. Despite her rapid rise, Laverne's path has not been without difficulty. She has publicly shared the emotional toll of surviving attempts on her life and the challenges of navigating healthcare acceptance and career limitations in a system that often erases trans experiences. Yet each personal revelation has been met with collective support, affirming her role as a figure of resilience and empathy. By 2026, Cox has accumulated multiple awards and honors, from the GLAAD Media Award to recognition in Time magazine's Top Influencers. More importantly, she continues to mentor emerging LGBTQ+ artists of color, ensuring their stories are told authentically. Her mere presence in mainstream media conveys a radical truth: trans Black women deserve to be seen, heard, respected, and celebrated. Through performance advocacy and relentless authenticity, Laverne Cox has cemented her legacy as a catalyst for representation, healing, and irreversible progress. Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres embodies the power of honesty layered with humor, reshaping television and public perception, one genuine moment at a time. Born in 1958 in Louisiana, Ellen first garnered attention as a stand-up comedian in the 1980s, mastering observational wit and winning audiences with her relatable charm. She then became a cultural pivot point in 1997, when she publicly came out on The Oprah Winfrey Show and through her sitcom Ellen. That moment wasn't just a career shift, it was seismic. She became one of the first openly gay lead characters on American network television, shaking up norms and opening doors for LGBTQ+ representation at a time when visibility was scarce. Her influence only grew when The Ellen DeGeneres Show premiered in 2003. Across nearly 2 decades on air, Ellen used the platform to normalize kindness spoken and acted championing queer voices while cultivating a culture of empathy. She shared her coming-out story with warmth and sincerity, fostered candid conversations, and celebrated love in all forms through segments featuring real couples, celebratory reveals, and surprise moments. She offered mainstream daytime audiences a queer perspective, wrapped in good-hearted entertainment. While the show faced scrutiny in 2020 over a rumored toxic workplace culture, Ellen never wavered from her core message, "Be kind." She stepped away from daytime television the following year, but that didn't dim her influence. She continues producing uplifting projects, contributing to LGBTQ+ documentaries, partnering with charities like the Trevor Project, and standing behind films like Happiest Season, which portray queer relationships with nuance and authenticity. In the years since her talk show concluded, Ellen has transitioned toward mentorship, supporting emerging queer talent behind and in front of the camera. She reminds us that visibility matters not just in storylines, but in the storytellers themselves. By combining humor, empathy, and unapologetic honesty, Ellen DeGeneres left an indelible mark that the world can be changed, one heartfelt laugh at a time. Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart has long defied expectations both on-screen and off. Rising to global fame as the fierce Bella in the Twilight Saga, she quickly distanced herself from the teen heartthrob stereotype by choosing unconventional, daring roles in indie dramas like Personal Shopper and Seberg. Beyond her fearless filmography, Kristen identified as bisexual in 2017 during a Saturday Night Live interview, a moment that signaled a shift in how she revealed her truth. Her personal life has since woven openly between high-profile relationships with women, including her partner Dylan Meyer, who she often brings proudly to red carpet events. Rather than leveraging labels, Kristen emphasizes emotional honesty. In interviews, she explains that living authentically beyond gendered expectations gives her a sense of peace and creative freedom. This clarity fueled her performance in the LGBTQ+ holiday film Happiest Season 2020, where she co-starred alongside Mackenzie Davis. The film resonated deeply, delivering both mainstream attention and strong critical praise for its heartfelt, realistic portrayal of queer relationships under holiday pressure. Kristen chooses visibility on her terms, balancing privacy with advocacy. She supports queer narratives while avoiding performative activism, believing that living as her true self is the strongest statement she can make. By 2026, she has solidified her reputation within LGBTQ+ circles, not just as an actor, but as a steadfast example of emotional courage and self-love. Her journey reminds fans that bisexuality is real, complex, and worth celebrating even without big announcements. Kristen Stewart's authenticity has quietly reshaped Hollywood's understanding of queerness. It's not always loud, but it's always powerful. Janelle Monáe. Janelle Monáe has become an incendiary force in entertainment, blending art, activism, and unapologetic identity into a vibrant tapestry of empowerment. Coming out as pansexual in 2018 during a Rolling Stone interview, she declared that her attractions transcend gender, affirming her love for individuals regardless of identity. Later identifying as non-binary and using she/they pronouns, Monáe further disrupted conventional labels not for shock value, but to foreground liberation through language and identity. Musically, Monáe's album Dirty Computer 2018 functions as a manifesto of liberated expression. Songs like Make Me Feel and Unapologetically Queer Anthem intertwine sensuality with celebrations of Black queer joy. The accompanying short film frames sexuality as joyful resistance, inviting marginalized audiences into storytelling that's both personal and universal. In 2019, her address at the Grammy Awards underscored this mission, calling for celebration of diversity in love and identity at the world's biggest stage. Janelle's influence penetrates more than music. In film, she delivered a memorable performance in Moonlight 2016, offering subtle yet powerful visibility to queer Black narratives. On the fashion front, her unapologetically bold red carpet ensembles, ranging from tailored suits to avant-garde gowns, reject gender norms in silhouette and design. She models freedom not only in what she sings, but in what she wears and how she shows up. Beyond creative expression, Monet is an activist at heart, a consistent presence at Pride donor to organizations like GLAAD and the Trevor Project, and a promoter of LGBTQ+ rights through public campaigning and interviews. She leverages her platform to uplift trans rights, fight discrimination, and ensure queer youth of color see themselves mirrored in success. In 2026, Janelle Monáe remains a dynamic architect of change-crafting spaces where love knows no boundaries and identity is fluid celebration. Through lyricism, performance, and presence, she crafts a future where labels serve liberation, not limitation. Robin Rihanna Fenty. Robin Rihanna Fenty, the Barbadian powerhouse who transformed from pop sensation to billionaire mogul, has always kept the public guessing. Bold, fearless, and enigmatic, she rose to fame with chart-topping hits like Umbrella and Diamonds, only to later redefine what it means to control one's image narrative and identity. While Rihanna has never explicitly labeled her sexuality, her public persona has often played with fluidity, sensuality, and self-ownership in ways that defy societal norms. Rumors of same-sex experiences swirled for years, most notably after suggestive lyrics and statements hinted at past intimacy with women. She never confirmed nor denied, and that calculated silence became part of her power. Instead of explanations, Rihanna offered representation through action featuring LGBTQ+ models, drag performers, and non-binary voices in her Savage X Fenty fashion shows. Her runway wasn't just inclusive, it was revolutionary, shattering fashion's exclusivity with every strut. Her approach to identity is subtle yet unshakable. Rihanna often speaks of love without borders, rejecting the need to box her feelings into predefined categories. She doesn't pose as a flag-waving activist, but her business, music, and cultural influence continuously amplify marginalized communities. From casting queer dancers in global performances to elevating queer makeup artists through Fenty Beauty, she leads with inclusivity embedded in her empire. By 2026, as a mother and cultural titan, Rihanna still protects her romantic life with careful distance, allowing space for interpretation rather than confession. Yet through every decision she exudes an unspoken message: freedom matters more than public approval. Rihanna's legacy is one of dominance through authenticity, not in loudly declaring who she is, but in confidently never asking for permission to be it. Kamai Ayawa. Born Kamai Ayawa in 1979 in Aberdeen, Maryland, the artist known as Moore Mother harnesses sound as a potent instrument of resistance. Operating at the crossroads of noise, hip-hop, punk, and Afrofuturism, she constructs immersive sonic landscapes that interrogate power memory and Black life. Rejecting traditional rap structures, her voice, often a visceral mix of spoken word, experimental beats, and cries, serves as an unflinching testimony to ancestral trauma and collective healing. Ayawa has never concealed her queer identity. Instead, she embeds it within her work, not through conventional narratives of relationships, but through bold dismantling of binaries, gender, genre, history. Her debut album, Fetish Bones, 2016, erupted like a manifesto, dissonant, furious, haunting, and infinitely queer. She followed it with analog fluids of sonic black holes and jazz codes, pushing audiences into confrontational terrain where queerness isn't an orientation, but a disruptor of order. Beyond music, more. Mother engages academia and visual arts. She teaches at USC, has been commissioned by institutions like Tate Modern and the Whitney Biennial, and performs with the Black Quantum Futurism Collective, blurring distinctions between sound politics and spatial imagining. This multifaceted involvement underscores her refusal to be confined. She's not just singing. She's theorizing, educating, and rebuilding. Her identity is layered, Black, queer, female, intellectual, each aspect integral, none secondary. She doesn't court mainstream visibility. Instead, she builds alternative spaces where erased voices are amplified and where queerness is inseparable from liberation. Ayawa doesn't just queer sound. She queers time, history, futurity. As of 2026, More Mother has not topped pop charts, but her impact resonates across cultural fault lines. Through books, performances, recordings, and lectures, she demands that liberation looks and sounds different, darker, disquieting, expansive. In her hands, queerness becomes methodology, an act of undoing that refuses to settle, teaching us that breaking down binaries is the first step toward real freedom. Louis Kevin Celestine. Louis Kevin Celestine, known professionally as K-Tranada, bridges the worlds of soulful dance beats and unapologetic queer liberation. Born on August 25, 1992 in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and raised in the multicultural streets of Montreal, K-Tranada's rise to fame isn't just about infectious rhythm, it's an artistic testament to identity resilience and joyful subversion. Breaking into the scene with smooth, syncopated blends of funk, R&B, hip-hop, and house, K-Tranada quickly distinguished himself not just by sound, but by presence. In 2016, he publicly came out as gay in candid interviews, resisting the idea that underground dance music scenes were welcoming only to straight listeners. He spoke openly about the anxiety of touring while closeted and committed to celebrating not just music, but freedom, personal and collective. K-Tranada's debut, full-length 99% 2016, set the stage for his future, earning critical acclaim and the Polaris Music Prize, signaling that emotionally resonant beats from queer Black artists had their rightful place in the mainstream. But it was Bubba 2019 that marked his boldest moment, a Grammy-winning celebration of Black queer joy conveyed through loping bass lines, shimmering synths, and collaborators who echoed his vibrant identity. On stage, his performances are exuberant invitations, dancers of every gender, joy-infused light, shows tracks that ripple across rooms, each beat affirming his lived truth. Off stage, he uses interviews to call out stigma, urge empathy, and remind listeners that history often erased queer contributors to dance culture, but 2026 won't. Now a global phenomenon, DJ, producer, and cultural architect K-Tranada remains deeply connected to home, his Haitian roots, Montreal's multicultural vibrancy, and the ongoing struggle for queer inclusion. Through every set sample and spotlight, he asserts that music can elevate consciousness, and that liberation, like rhythm, is unstoppable. Montero Lamar Hill. Montero Lamar Hill, known worldwide as Lil Nas X, exploded onto the music scene in 2019 with his chart-topping hit Old Town Road. That song's meteoric rise signaled more than mainstream success. It heralded the arrival of a queer Black artist who refused to stay in the shadows. During Pride Month that same year, he announced his sexuality publicly, instantly becoming a cultural touchstone for LGBTQ+ youth. His 2021 release, Montero Call Me By Your Name, wasn't just another single, it was a brazen declaration. Its music video, rich in religious and queer imagery, shattered internet records and sparked worldwide discussion. The song soared to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, cementing Lil Nas X's impact not just as a musician but as a disruptor unafraid to challenge norms. Musically, he fuses rap pop and theatrical flair. Tracks like Industry Baby, featuring Jack Harlow, lean into camp, but also convey hard-earned confidence and visibility. On stage and in public appearances, Montero embraces flair, gender-fluid outfits, rainbow accents, and dance that radiates freedom, celebrating every aspect of his identity. Off stage, he moves with purpose, engaging on social media with candor and humor, supporting LGBTQ+ charities like the Trevor Project, and responding to backlash with wit and pride. While conservative voices attacked his imagery, he met their responses with defiance and laughter, reinforcing his refusal to be silenced. By 2026, Lil Nas X has transformed from viral sensation into a generational icon. He's won multiple Grammys, headlined international festivals, and reclaimed queer space in a genre that once ignored it. His message is clear: telling your truth isn't optional, it's revolutionary. In Montero's world, joy is resistance and visibility is power. Sydney. Lauren Bennett. Sydney. Lauren Bennett, known professionally as Syd, emerged as the smooth-voiced frontwoman of the pioneering alternative R&B band, The Internet. Born in 1992 in Los Angeles, she first gained attention in the hip-hop collective Odd Future before forging her own artistic identity, a space where vulnerability, affection, and genre-bending musicality converged. From the start of her solo career, Finn 2017, Syd embraced her identity without preamble. Calm, composed, and authentic, she released singles like Fast Car 2021, complete with a video showcasing tender same-sex love, an intentional act of validation for Black lesbian audiences craving authentic representation. She once remarked, "She always try to just be myself to be gay." There's a girl in the video with me. What more do I need to say a beautifully unforced declaration that speaks to her understated power? Her sophomore solo album, Broken Hearts Club 2022, dove deeper into self-reflection, intimacy, and emotional honesty. Tracks such as Out Loud featuring Kytra Nada examine heartbreak through queer eyes, heartache layered with resilience and specificity. Syd's voice, a warm, rich alto, conveys nuance, often absent from mainstream R&B, offering solace and recognition. Offstage, she's less spotlight and more substance. Syd has expressed her desire to create inclusive musical spaces, even envisioning festivals spotlighting Black queer female artists. Though rooted in melody and groove, her work echoes with quiet activism. It says being Black, queer, and emotionally open isn't a statement, it's everyday life. By 2026, Syd stands as a vital thread in modern R&B's tapestry, an artist whose calm confidence and refusal to sensationalize queerness allow listeners to simply feel seen. Her contributions aren't loud, but they're significant proof that sometimes the softest voices shape the deepest change. Clifford Ian Simpson. Clifford Ian Simpson, widely known as Kevin Abstract, emerged from Corpus Christi, Texas as co-founder of the groundbreaking collective Brockhampton. Born in 1996, he came forward early in his career, not just as a rapper, but as one of the few Black gay men openly exploring queer identity within hip-hop's traditionally heteronormative landscape. Rather than waiting for acceptance, he made visibility his starting point, placing same-sex desire and emotional introspection at the core of his music. From the band's debut Saturation trilogy to his solo work, Kevin's lyrics dissect homophobia, unspoken vulnerability, and the isolation of growing up queer in conservative communities. On songs like Junkie, he raps, "Why you keep rapping about being gay? Because there ain't enough rappers that are gay," confronting the genre's silence head-on. His solo projects like Arizona Baby and subsequent EPs continue this journey, unpacking the interplay of queerness, fame, and emotional survival. Offstage, he's described the toll of being both celebrated and scrutinized, the rush of support mingled with the fear that fame might never equate to full acceptance. The premature disbandment of Brockhampton in 2022 left fans eager, but Kevin used that moment to amplify queer narratives even further. Through YouTube, intimate performances, and social media, he continues to build space for LGBTQ+ youth, especially young Black queer men who see their stories reflected in his. By 2026, Kevin Abstract stands at the intersection of artistry and advocacy. He has transformed personal history into collective anthem, proving that hip-hop can be both aggressive and introspective, loud and tender, commercial and radical. His legacy lies not just in records or performances, but in the courageous truth he consistently releases into the world. There is power in sharing your most honest self. No edits, no apologies. Freddie Ross Jr. Freddie Ross Jr., better known by the electrifying stage name Big Freedia, has explosive energy and unapologetic authenticity pulsing through every performance. Born in 1978 in New Orleans, Big Freedia became synonymous with the city's high-octane bounce music scene in the early 2000s. With hits like Bootylicious and Explode, Freedia turned dance halls into stages of liberation where wigs fly, bass drops reverberate, and gender boundaries collapse under jubilation. Identifying with she/her pronouns and proudly queer, Freedia emerged as the first bounce artist to achieve mainstream visibility, including starring in the reality show Big Freedia Queen of Bounce in 2013. She didn't just perform, she institutionalized a movement of joy, empowerment, and unabashed identity, bringing Black queer culture out of underground clubs and onto international platforms. Collaboration became a key part of her strategy. From working with Beyoncé on Formation to appearing alongside Drake on Break My Soul. Big Freedia injected mainstream hits with authentic bounce flair and vibrant queerness. Offstage, she's a relentless activist, speaking openly about health struggles, advocating for transgender rights and HIV awareness, and using her cultural capital to uplift marginalized communities. In 2026, Big Freedia is not only still performing, but continues shaping cultural history. Her influence is visible in the mainstream embrace of bounce dance drag expressions and gender-fluid stylings. By merging tradition with defiant innovation, she proves that representation isn't about visibility alone, it's about presence, ownership, and celebration. With every wig snap and marching beat, Big Freedia commands space for Black queer joy and never asks permission to shine. Justin Harris. Justin Harris, better known by his stage name, Saucy Santana, has carved out a daring and flamboyant niche within hip-hop's masculine landscape. Born on October 8, 1993 in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and raised in Florida, Santana initially made a name as a makeup artist for rap duo City Girls. But it was his 2019 release Walk that detonated his rise, going viral on TikTok with his charismatic self-presentation designer Nail's fierce fashion and unapologetic confidence. As an openly gay Black man, Santana shattered conventional masculinity by embracing femininity, feathers, and flair. His breakout singles like Material Girl and Walkin' Like a Dog balanced tongue-in-cheek humor with genuine swagger, upending expectations that queer artists must blend in. In 2022, he signed with RCA Records, earned a feature spot with Madonna, and performed at major festivals, sending a clear message: queer style isn't niche, it's necessary. Santana hasn't been without challenges. Bold homophobic tweets sparked backlash, and he's spoken about the pressure of being one of the few openly gay performers in rap. Yet rather than retreat, he doubled down on visibility, transforming fear into fearless celebration. His rise signals a shift: rap can and must embrace queer individuals on their own terms. By 2026, Saucy Santana stands as more than an internet phenomenon. He is a lifestyle brand, a style provocateur, and a community symbol. He models grace under pressure and pride in personal identity. Through upbeat beats, bold outfits, and unapologetic presence, Santana shows the world that queerness is an asset, not a liability, and that hip-hop's spectrum is louder, brighter, and more fabulous than ever. Josiah Wise. Josiah Wise, known to the world as Serpent with Feet, weaves ethereal artistry and soulful devotion into a sonic experience unlike any other. Born in 1988 in Baltimore and trained in classical and gospel music, he channels his spiritual roots into avant-garde R&B that centers on Black queer intimacy. His voice, delicate yet potent, is a conduit for love that is both sacred and deeply personal. Wisdom bloomed early in his career. His debut EP Blisters 2016, produced by the Haxon Cloak, introduced a style that defied genre conventions. With the release of full-length projects like Soil 2018 and Deacon 2021, he continued centering Black same-sex love through poetic lyrics and lush orchestration, flipping gospel's traditional narrative. His songs don't merely mention queer love, they frame it as profound, spiritual, and deserving of ritual. Live performances with Serpent with Feet often blend chamber-influenced arrangements with electronic minimalism, creating spaces of worship-like reverence where gendered expectations dissolve. He frequently collaborates with artists across disciplines, Taiye Selassie Kanye West's Sunday Service Choir, highlighting that queer Black artistry thrives in both secular and sacred realms. Through his lyrics, he confronted stigma, directly declaring that Black queer men deserve love not as spectacle or study, but as fundamental experience. This mission isn't academic. It's embodied in every note, every live vocal tremor that whispers of tenderness. Wise's presence reminds listeners that queerness can be tender, wholly intimate, and always radical. By 2026, Serpent with Feet stands at the vanguard of a movement that demands reverence for Black queer love. His music doesn't just exist, it transforms. In his hands, gospel becomes queer praise. R&B becomes ritual, and love becomes reclamation. With unassuming power, he reminds us that revolutionary joy can be sung softly and still shatter centuries of silence. Rashard Bradley Bradshaw, professionally known as Cakes Da Killa, burst onto the underground rap scene with raw energy, defiant lyricism, and unapologetic queer pride. Born in 1990 in New Jersey, he emerged during the 2000s when mixing openly gay identity with rap was practically unheard of. Rejecting silence and stereotypes, he used his platform to assert presence and power. His breakthrough mixtape, The Eulogy, 2013, caught attention from critics like Pitchfork for its razor-sharp wordplay and bold personality. Tracks such as Goody Goody and Don Dada showcase his rapid-fire flow and witty, sexually liberated storytelling. He doesn't tiptoe around identity cakes raps about queer desire, nightlife, and defiant persona, unapologetically exploring them as central themes. In songs like Svengali 2022, he blends hip-hop with house and spoken word, further blurring genre boundaries and reinforcing that queerness belongs to every artistic space. He said openly, "If I didn't say I was gay, no one would care. But because I say it and don't sugarcoat it, it becomes a problem." That defiant stance speaks volumes. He isn't performing to please. He's performing to be authentically seen. Despite not charting on Billboard Cakes, Da Killa has earned respect on his own terms, hosting sold-out shows in queer clubs and pride festivals, collaborating with queer underground artists, and refusing to be pigeonholed as a novelty. Through his work, he commands space and demands respect, not because he conforms to hip-hop's expectations, but because he dismantles them. As of 2026, Cakes Da Killa stands as a litmus test for rap's evolving inclusivity. His ethos is clear: don't ask permission, don't soften your voice. Through bravado, vulnerability, and unmatched charisma, he proclaims queerness isn't a trend, it's an unapologetic declaration. Michael David Quattlebaum Jr. Michael David Quattlebaum Jr., known as Mickey Blanco, stands at the forefront of experimental hip-hop, a force bending genres, geographies, and identities with each release. Born April 2, 1986 in Orange County, California, Mickey first emerged in the early 2010s, combining raw rap, confrontational punk energy, and performance art. Famed mixtapes like Cosmic Angel and Gay Dog Food smashed expectations, fusing street-smart bravado with queer defiance and theatrical flair. Identifying as gender-fluid and using she/they pronouns, Mickey refused corporate-friendly disguise. In 2015, they courageously disclosed their HIV-positive status, a groundbreaking act that unsettled stigma and redefined vulnerability in hip-hop. Speaking openly, Mickey declared, "I had nothing to be ashamed of," turning personal revelation into collective empowerment. Their 2016 self-titled album marked a shift, sharpened lyricism, melodic depth, introspective storytelling without sacrificing edge. On stage, Mikey's presence is magnetic, commanding performances layered with wigs, combat boots, and spoken word candor. Tracks like High School Never Ends and Loner channel both rage and intimacy, shaping queer identity into kinetic rebellion. Collaborations with icons like Madonna amplify their defiant ethos individuality over assimilation. Beyond music, Mickey challenges systems of erasure. Their work critiques tokenization of queer artists, demanding not just representation but real cultural power. "Don't call me brave, pay me," they once asserted. This rallying cry underpins their advocacy. Queer artists deserve equity, not pity. By 2026, Mickey Blanco remains undeterred. Their 2021 album, Broken Hearts and Beauty, sleep and ongoing performance art exemplify hybridity, genre mixing, gender fluidity, community building. Mickey isn't merely an artist. They're a movement, radical, resilient, and uncompromising, charting a path where queerness isn't hidden and pain becomes power. O.J. Morgan, better known by his stage name Zebra Cats, has carved a distinct path at the intersection of Black queer identity and experimental rap. Born in 1987 in West Palm Beach, Florida, and later relocating to New York City, Morgan brings a theatrical edge to his music, melding industrial beats, spoken word intensity, and minimalist swagger into a sound that resists assimilation. His breakout moment in 2012 came when fashion icon Rick Owens featured his track I'm a Razor on a Paris Runway, a debut that boldly juxtaposed rage and restraint. From there, Zebra Cats became synonymous with deliberate ambiguity lyrics that shift between whisper and scream visuals that echo the dark elegance of performance art and narratives that unapologetically center queer Black bodies in space not built for them. With albums like Less is More 2020 and Eyes 2023, Morgan continues to shatter binaries sonically and thematically, blending techno-rap and avant-pop while questioning visibility, exploitation, and the commodification of queer identity. His aesthetic rejects polish in favor of raw texture, and his performances carry an electric tension that commands attention. Morgan is outspoken about being used as a spectacle, yet persistently reclaims the narrative. Demanding more than novelty, he demands respect. He asserts his art is not an accessory to trends, but a challenge to them. By 2026, Zebra Cats stands as a singular force, an artist who doesn't just occupy space, but reshapes it. His work subverts the expectations of hip-hop fashion and queer representation, not through conformity, but through radical self-possession. In Morgan's hands, every beat, lyric, and look becomes an act of reclamation. Black, queer, uncompromising. Khalif Diouf, professionally known as Lee1F, stands as one of the most daring visionaries to emerge from New York's underground rap and ballroom scenes. Born April 6, 1989 in Manhattan, Diouf merged electronic beats, high-concept aesthetics, and unapologetically queer lyricism into a style that disobeyed every rule. His 2012 breakthrough single What paired a horn-laced loop with pointed rhymes delivered in heels, an audacious mix of sensuality, intellect, and defiance. Lee1F's 2015 debut album Riot Boy, released through XL Recordings, cemented his reputation as a fearless provocateur. Collaborating with artists like Dev Hynes' Jungle and the late Sophie, he rejected politically safe narratives, instead embracing humor, anger, vulnerability, and critique the album Pulse Quick with energy and expression. He didn't just rap. He performed identity-dismantling hip-hop's rigid boundaries by standing firmly as a queer Black man. Through open criticism of mainstream appropriation, calling out tracks like Macklemore's Same Love for centering white stories, Lee1F challenged industry norms. His presence forced the narrative queer voices aren't optional, they are vital. Although mainstream charts largely ignored Riot Boy, its influence rippled through underground clubs, digital platforms, and queer collectives worldwide. By 2026, Lee1F's legacy isn't measured in awards, but in art that shook silence. He ignited a movement of unfiltered expression, proving that hip-hop could be both confrontational and inclusive. In a cultural moment often obsessed with categorization, Lee1F reminds us that defiance and artistry don't ask for permission. These Black LGBTQ+ pioneers didn't just break barriers, they rewrote the rules. From music stages to Hollywood sets, they've proven that identity is not a limitation, but a superpower. Whether they spoke loudly or moved quietly, each of them reshaped how queerness is seen, heard, and celebrated in Black culture. So we ask, why should visibility still be debated in 2026? On Legends of Black Excellence, we honor those who live boldly, Do you believe their openness helps shape a more inclusive future, or do you think it complicates their legacy? Let us know in the comments below.